Alright, welcome back. We're going to be doing another episode of Swooning Over Stands here because, it's my most popular series. It gets me views. And, I like me uh, some gilfs, grunkles I'd like to fuck. So last we left off, we were trying to swoon over, I do believe this is our one where we're swooning over Stan Lee. You wake up to a loud crash downstairs, not entirely uncommon in this house. You're quickly finding out it's still discerning. Is this right? Yeah, this is right. More clatters and thumps lead you to the kitchen where Mabel teeters on a short stepladder in front of the pantry, standing on her tippy toes. She reaches as high as she can for a small yellow box on the shelf. Pancake mix. Without a word, you go to her side and pluck the box from the shelf for her, placing it into her outstretched hand. Oh, Boo-Boo, thank you. Grunkle Stan put it on the top shelf for some reason, but I need some Mabel cakes. It's a breakfast emergency. She waggles her free fingers in your face, and you can't help but laugh. You could tell the house becomes more alive when this kid's around. Want to help me make 'em? We only need chocolate milk, coffee, pink food coloring, and pot of goldos to make this breakfast dream a breakfast reality. We are making Mabel cakes eventually. I don't know when, but if you're watching this, subscribe, because we will be making Mabel cakes eventually. I just need to, get a hold of a kitchen I can use. As delicious as it sounds, you're inclined to ask where the coffee comes into the mix when you realize that the house is suspiciously quiet. Mabel, where is everybody? Oh, Grunkle Stan, you get stuff for your car, so he went to go get Mecky Techie stuff for that. I think Grunkle Ford's somewhere. He heard the abominable bro man was trying to steal soda from campers, so he went to help them out. Yep, that's where he went. Totally knew that. So they left you guys to make breakfast on your own? You don't know the family well enough yet to know this is commonplace. So the idea of leaving two teenagers alone to fend for themselves seemed fine. If one of the teenagers wasn't Mabel, though, anyway. You still don't know how coffee fits into her Mabel cakes, but you don't really want to know. Dipper attempts to hide the pancake mix from Mabel while she's grabbing the chocolate milk from the fridge. Apparently he doesn't want to find out either. I want to make Mabel cakes! Create another game! Please, let me eat the Mabel cakes! Mabel, while your Mabel cakes sound absolutely divine, why don't we think a quick think? I want Mabel cakes! I'm so upset. Is there somewhere we can go out to get breakfast? We should really save the Mabel cakes till your great-uncles get back. I know they wouldn't want to miss them. But I want to perfect my recipe. I have to get better at cooking and baking and stuff so I can survive out there in the world. What if in high school I'll have to bake stuff and people are better than me? Mabel looks very agitated. No one's better than you, Mabel. Trust me, I'm going to try these Mabel cakes and they're going to be delicious. Mabel looks very agitated, tugging at her hair with both hands. If I can't make the perfect Mabel cakes, I can never be on Bad Dreams Dining. I gotta impress Gerald Rambone. Boo-Boo, it's my destiny. Maybe Dipper can help you make something different. We should save the Mabel cakes for another day, a more special day. But Boo-Boo, Mabel, still standing on the stepladder, reaches up and squishes your cheeks together, her wide eyes staring into your soul. Every day is a special day with Mabel cakes. You glance at Dipper, making a please help me and I'll buy you breakfast face. You hope he understands. Yeah, Mabel, I know you want to cook more since you're becoming an adult. Sure, but don't think Grunkle Stan and Great Uncle Ford should be here to try them too? And not just me, again? Mabel hops off the stepladder and ponders her brother's question, its lips pursed. Eventually, she nods, beaming at you both. You're right, Dipper. I can't deny them that experience. You give Dipper a thankful smile over Mabel's head. As she puts the ingredients back in the refrigerator, he grins back at you, rubbing the back of his neck. You wonder if he got that from one of his grunkles. That's clever. Now that you think about it, great plus uncle make grunkle. Saves time on syllables. We should go to Greasy's. They have some of the best pancakes there, with like 3 different kinds of syrup, if you ask Susan nicely. Yeah, it's not super far. Let's go. The kids are about to head out of the kitchen when you realize something. But aren't you going to leave a note for your grunkles about where we're going? Oh, right, good call. Dipper scribbles out a note for Stan and Ford and sticks it on the front door of the shack with one of Mabel's stickers. Give me 1 second. Okay. The kids lead the way towards the town, explaining various landmarks and the wild and wonderful stories attached to them along the way. And this is where we saw those 2 ghosty old people in a convenience store? Strange, but you nod regardless. Maybe she just meant they were so old they looked like ghosts. Dipper points out the diner in the distance, a log-shaped building atop a train cart, and the three of you head inside. You soon realize that the kids know just about everyone in this town. Several people, young and old, wave at them as the three of you find a table, and you get the feeling that they're almost famous in Gravity Falls, though you're not entirely sure why. They're pretty cute, though. Mabel blows the paper wrapper of her straw at Dipper's face, and he retaliates by swatting her with the laminated menu. An elderly woman in a pastel pink waitress dress comes up to the table, and you catch the name on her tag, Susan. Hi, kids and stranger, what can I get for you? Why didn't you draw Lazy Susan? Did I mention this the first time I played? I can't remember. Pancakes and all 3 syrups for me, please, Lazy Susan. Same for me, actually. Lazy Susan turns to you, notepad in hand. I'll get the pancakes as well. Coming right up, sweetie. Lazy Susan winks with her good eye, of course, and heads to the back of the diner. The wait for your food to arrive feels longer here than most, mainly due to Mabel and Dipper using this time to interrogate you. At first, it's somewhat intimidating. You literally crashed into their house and started hanging out with their great uncles, so they have lots of questions. Once the irrational fear of 2 13-year-olds fades out, you recognize their interview for what it really is. They care about their grunkles. If you do start hanging out with them more, they want to know as much about you as possible. Mabel's questions are somewhat nonsensical. So if you were stranded on a desert island with no boat, no cheating, what would you take with you? What would I take with me on an island? Oh, hang on, let's go back. With no boat, no cheating, what would you take with you? Like a ship? Because a ship is not a boat. They're 2 different things, apparently. Apparently, like, sailors get really mad if you call their boat or if you call their ship a boat, because it's like bigger. I don't know. I would bring a plane, helicopter. While dippers are more careful and calculated. What were you doing before you came here? School, work, both, neither? Did you know about Gravity Falls before you crashed into this shack? I'm pretty sure we were just going on a lovely drive to Oregon. What did I just press? Anybody know which grunkle each twin takes after? Stan and Mabel, goofy partners in crime versus the quiet brainiacs, Ford and Dipper. It's an intriguing contrast, especially now that you're thrown into the middle of the bunch. But as the twins race to see which syrup bottle drips into their mouths the fastest, Dipper's blueberry syrup beats Mabel's classic maple by half a millisecond. You swear on it. You know that these kids do a lot more for their great uncles than just be cute counterparts. And here we go. Enjoy, kiddos. Let me know if you need anything else. Lazy Susan gives out their respective plates, and the kids go quiet, shoveling down their food like they've never been fed before. Between mouthfuls, you get a few more questions about yourself and your theories on aliens versus which member of the M synchronized was your favorite. But the table is near silent as the 3 of you eat. Aliens, I do believe that aliens exist because there's no way that they don't. But I don't think they did everything on Earth. I don't think they've been to Earth yet, if that makes sense. And I don't know what M synchronized is. It's probably a boy band, and I don't like boy bands. That is until Mabel speaks up with a mouthful of pancakes. So, Boo Boo, if in a totally made up and not real situation you had to pick who your favorite was, who would you pick? Grunkle Stan or Grunkle Ford? This seems too planned compared to her other cutesy questions. Dipper elbows his sister not so subtly, and she elbows him right back, wide eyes staring at him in a sibling-linked look that you can't decipher. Like, say you're in a movie, like one of those weird movies Grunkle Stan watches on TV with ladies in poofy dresses riding horses. Awfully specific, but you let her continue, taking another bite of your food. You're the main character of this movie, and you got 2 guys who are both madly in love with you. This one doesn't mess around with getting right to the point, huh? But you can only marry one of them, so you could be the next in line for the throne. What would you do? If Grunkle Stan and Grunkle Ford were your choices, who would you go with? Maybe that's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, really weird and kind of gross. No. Come on, Dipper, this is important information that's vital to my research. What research? None of your business yet, but I'm still gathering other research. Mabel leans towards Dipper's ear to whisper, waggling her brow at you before she replies in not a whisper, but quite the opposite. Recent research should tell you're a huge nerd. With that, Mabel catapults a spoonful of melted butter from atop her pancakes onto Dipper's cheek with a very satisfying splat. Dipper jerks in disgust, but retaliates by smearing strawberry syrup onto Mabel's nose. A drop of stickiness plopping onto her sweater. Ew, gross. You're gross. There's no vitriol between the twins, but lots of giggling and a few more various food missiles. Eventually, syrup streaks Mabel's cheekbones and some of her hair, and Dipper has a small piece of pancake stuck to his face. You guys are dorks. Maybe you're right, but we're twins, so it's adorable. You say so, Mabel. Wait, quick, Boo-Boo, take a picture of us while Dipper's got pancake on his face. I have what? He swipes quickly at his face, and after several passes, gets it off. Aw, I was trying to get him more candid pictures of us. Mabel, you have syrup everywhere. Really? Ugh, then it would have been a perfect photo. Here, let me get it. Your hands are sticky enough. Get back up with a napkin in hand and try to wipe some of the syrup off Mabel's cheeks. The excess syrup wipes off easily, but a good portion doesn't budge. I mean, maybe syrup as makeup is the next new look. That's one word for it, kid. It's him! Our senpai! We wondered where you went once we came back to the suspiciously quiet house. If it weren't for Dipper's note, we would have been worried. Sixer would have been worried. I tried to tell him you kids pull this kind of stuff all the time, headed out unannounced, putting stress on your poor old grunkle's heart. He puts a hand over his heart dramatically. All those missing hours of unpaid child labor. Actually, that note wasn't me. Well, I wrote it, but Boo-Boo's the one who said we should so that you know where we went. Both Ford and Stan turned at you, surprised. Really? Figured these two knuckleheads dragged you here. Why not make breakfast at home? This place is at least a 15-minute walk from the shack. Well, you glance at Dipper, swiping his mouth across Mabel's cheeks and licking the blueberry syrup off. Mabel has a pancake in her mouth, chewing on it like a grazing sheep. I wanted to treat them to something, I guess. It's the least I could do, letting me stay with you and fixing my car. I thought since you were gone, I'd take these two out for a change. Also, Mabel is going to make Mabel cakes again. You're just mad you can't even make toast right. Yes I can. I burned it one time. Dipper holds his syrup-tipped finger in the air, indignant. Well, Mabel wanted you guys to enjoy your Mabel cakes too, and since there wasn't much food, I figured I'd take them out. Ford asks Mabel about her creation, wondering how much extra caffeine one could gain from adding instant coffee to the concoction. But Stan stays quiet. You catch him out of the corner of your eyes. He's staring at you, a lopsided smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Thanks, Boo-Boo. Appreciate it. Oh, no problem at all. You smile warmly at Stan despite the heat spreading over your cheeks, but he's rubbing the back of his neck, looking down at his feet. Mabel throws a theatrical wink your way, you're not sure why. Well, kid, if you're paying, scoot over, Dipper. I want breakfast too. Stanley, it's at least 12:30 now. Go forward, that means it's time for brunch. Duh. See, this kid gets me. Now let me in so I can get some grub. Dipper moves to your side of the booth, and Stan sits next to Mabel, and Ford sits at Dipper's side. Lazy Susan comes back and takes orders for another round of food and drinks for everyone, including Mabel, who decides she wants more pancakes. Who doesn't want more pancakes? I mean, I love pancakes. They're really good. He's starting to regret offering to pay, but as Stan and Mabel try their hand at the syrup drip race with Dipper cheering them on, Ford watching with a wide grin on his face, you know you don't really mind that much. Over the next few days, you continue to help out around the Mystery Shack. Not out of obligation, but because you have nothing better to do. Besides, Seuss, practically the golden retriever of people, is really digging the input on the current installments from an outsider's perspective. Bless his soul, the guy even offered you a job if you end up stranded here forever, dude, and need to make a life for yourself. Stan nearly choked on his ice pop as he overheard. Thinking about it now, the relationship between Seuss and Stan is The relationship between Seuss and Stan is unexpected, if not a little odd, but it makes you smile that no matter how many times Stan may roll his eyes as he does it, he'll always help Seuss get something done just right. Showered and dressed, you go outside as per usual, but don't see anyone. After a few minutes' search, you find Stan standing with his back to you in one of the exhibit rooms, admiring the weird and wonderful animal amalgamates he's collected for his true tourist trap. I cannot speak and my brain is shutting off. Hand at his chin in thought. Am I interrupting something important between you and Gooserky? Stan turns at the sound of your voice, smiling. Nope, you need something? You have any plans tonight? I'm asking him out on a date? He mulls your question over for a few moments, giving you an assessing look up and down. I've got a couple errands to run. Why, you want to tag along? Only if you need a partner in crime. Depends what kind of errands you've got in mind. Actually, I'm gonna go see what Ford's up to today. Fuck you, Stan. We're going to romance Ford again. Only if you need a partner or crime. Stan blinks in surprise. Hey, what are you, psychic? Wait, really? It was just a figure of speech, but you guess you should have known better. Alright, I'm heading out in a couple hours. Meet me out front. A couple of hours, but no buts, boo-boo. You can't rush this stuff, trust me. Okay, sure, not ominous at all, Stan. Yeah, meet me out front if you think you can handle it. He turns to go, but stops for a second, then turns back. Oh, and wear black. Something you don't mind getting dirty. And before you can ask why, he's gone into the depths of the shack. I just realized my camera is blocking the text, and I don't like that. Give me just a second. There we go. That's better. A couple hours turns into a handful, which you pass by watching some TV with Mabel and Dipper and dozing off. You have no idea what kind of satellite they get out here, but the shows on now are some of the most bizarre programming you've ever seen. Once you've had enough of waiting, you change into your darkest clothes and sit out on the front steps of the shack, watching as the sun starts to sink past the trees. It's cloudy and unusually warm for this time of day, but there's a nice breeze out. It's strange that these errands need to happen so late in the day, considering the things that you've gathered about his criminal past, however, maybe this is a typical weekday night for Stan. The screen door creaks out, and out comes Stan, dressed in all black, just like you are, with a lumpy duffel bag under one arm and a briefcase in the other. As he's about to speak, a sudden gust of wind comes along and ruffles his hair, and he smooths it down irritatedly before regaining his cool and nodding at you. Ready? I am always ready when it's with you. You slide into the passenger seat as Stan settles into the driver's seat. It takes a couple tries to start, but the engine's chugging away by the time you've got your seatbelt on. The radio stammers to life as the engine does, spitting out generic-sounding rock music into the leather-scented air of the car's interior. After a moment spent adjusting mirrors and fiddling with knobs, Stan slots the gear shift into drive and pulls out of the Mystery Shack slot and down road to town. Oh, that's beautiful. The radio's on, and Stan taps his fingers on the steering wheel to the beat of the music while he drives. So I take it we're not making a quick trip for milk and eggs. He laughs and glances over to you. Nope. Then where are we going? First stop is to see a buddy of mine, a hunter. I get all my taxidermy supplies from him. So that's where you get your parts from? Yeah? Oh, I just figured you got them from a local farm or something. And do business with those hippies? Not a chance. Well, I really enjoyed making that showpiece with you the other day. I had no idea you were so creative. He glances over at you with a poorly hidden surprise, turning almost immediately back to the road and chugging. It's just gluing stuff together, really. No, really, it takes a lot of skill. You have a real gift for it. He turns to you again and his cheeks go a little pink when he sees the smile you're giving him. Well, thanks. Marry me, Stan. We Stan. After a moment, he faces the road again, but now he's tapping out the rhythm of the song with a little more enthusiasm and even humming the chorus as he drives. Do you have any other hobbies? He rolls his shoulders back in a shrug, his head lifting off a bit towards the window. These days I spend most of my time out in the boat with Ford, hunting monsters, discovering things. He pauses, watching the road without expression. I used to box. It shows. He looks at you again, grinning. That's amazing. I wish I had grown up doing something like that. I wouldn't mind showing you a few things if you wanted. Yes, please beat me up, Stan. I'd like that. Please, just knock me out. After about 20 minutes of rural scenery, Stan pulls off the road onto a long gravel driveway that disappears into the woods. Is this the place? Stan nods and rounds a turn to reveal a clearing populated by a trailer home and a couple sheds. The trailer is a bit run down and shabby, and one of the sheds looks like it's about one strong sneeze away from collapsing. Excuse me. Not really the place you'd want to be at night, while alone with the guy you practically just met. Be honest, did you bring me here to murder me? Stan laughs, cutting the engine and resting his arms in the back of the front seat. Unfortunately, you figured it out, so now I definitely gotta kill you. I'm kidding, relax. What? No. He moves to get out of the car, then turns back with a creepy blank expression on his face. Or am I? You chuckle nervously, and he laughs again, pushing the door open. Seriously, I'm kidding. Won't be long. At the door to the trailer, Stan knocks and the door opens on a dark interior before he walks inside. The door shuts behind him. You give the yard a few curious glances before realizing that the weird pile of sticks you'd been looking at is actually bones. You quickly pull out your phone to look at instead. 10 minutes later, and stands back, carrying a large cardboard box in both hands. You see him fumble with the handle of the rear left door for a moment before you reach back over the seat and pop it open for him. A peek in the box reveals a few various shades of furry somethings and an animal skull you don't recognize. This doesn't seem like something worth busting out all your darkest studs for. We aren't by any chance robbing a bank, are we? Because I would have brought gloves. Stan laughs. No, nothing like that. He starts the car up again, and you're back on the road. Somehow I'm not quite convinced. Well, who knows where the night's gonna take us. Could be legal, could be not. That a problem? Can we swing by a jeweler? I need a new watch. Ha, you're right, kid. Stan takes the highway. The final minutes of the sunset burnt orange and purple ahead of you, while the welcome sign for Gravity Falls disappears into the rearview mirror. A new song comes onto the radio. It's something bright and bouncy with lyrics about love, and his fingers get back to tapping. In the retreating light, you can see faded patches on the rim of the steering wheel, the color worn away from the decades worth of touch. The passenger seat you sit in hasn't yet taken on the shape of someone specific. Even after all this time, the springs still feel brand new. Meanwhile, on the driver's side of the car, Stan settled easily into his seat, which fits him as well as a finely tailored jacket. You tuck your leg up under its mate, leaning back into the dark. Wait, what? Oh, I'm crossing my legs? Is that what you tuck your leg up under its mate, leaning back into the dark leather of the DeVille's interior, and watch cars pass and recede out the windshield. After a few minutes of music-backed silence, you feel like breaking it. Tell a joke. Why do chicken coops have two doors? Stan glances over at you, double-checking that this is a setup to a joke. I don't know why. Because if they had four doors, they'd be a chicken sedan. That's a pretty funny joke. He thinks for a minute, presumably to come up with a joke of his own. Alright, a blonde walks into a bank in New York City. I don't know, this could be one of those awful blondes are dumb jokes, is it? He levels a withering look on you. Jesus. He levels a withering look on you. Can I tell the joke? I don't know, can you? You grin with your lower lip caught between your teeth, clearly joking, and he chuckles. Anyway, blonde walks into a bank in New York. She goes up to the bank manager and she says, I'd like to take out a loan for $5,000. I'm taking a vacation overseas. A car passes you on the highway going 20 over the speed limit, and Stan swears and then stifles it. Yeesh, night drivers. So the bank manager goes, well, miss, do you have collateral? We need collateral for that kind of loan. And she nods and says she does. And she takes the bank manager out to the parking lot where she's got a $50,000 Ferrari waiting. She said, this is my car. You can hold on to it until I pay back my loan. I think I've got this. I think I know this. Stan continues glancing over at you, trying to suppress a smile. The bank manager's confused, and he figures if this lady doesn't pay, he's going to have a nice new Ferrari in his garage, so he agrees. A sign for an exit ahead points off the right, the text reading Country Road 328, and Stan takes it off the highway. So he gives the blonde her 5 Gs, and she hands him the keys to her car, and she heads off to Europe. A month later, she shows back up at the bank with 5 Gs and the interest for the loan, which figures out to be about $15. Stan continues turning down an unlit gravel road, with the headlights casting spooky shadows through the trees. The bank manager takes the repayment for the loan and the interest, and has one of his employees bring the car out in front of the bank for the blonde. Out ahead of the road, a deer turns its face to the car and then leaps across the road to disappear in the woods. Just before she leaves, the bank manager stops the blonde and says, Lady, I'm real confused here. You're clearly loaded enough to afford this car, and you paid back the loan, and then some. Why take out the loan if you're so rich? The lady turns to him, runs a hand through her hair, and says, Where else can I park my car in New York City for 2 weeks for only $15? That's hilarious. You burst into wild laughter, and he laughs along with you. Alright, I take it back. That was the best blonde joke I've ever heard in my life. Just as you finish speaking, Stan pulls off to the side of the road, and the engine dies. As you step out of the car, the unearthly silence of the wood envelops you the two of you. Out in the woods ahead, you see a single bright light. Is this the place? Just about. You follow him back towards the trunk, which he opens quietly and slowly, frowning as he squeaks. What are we doing here? You, might not guess it looking at me, but I got a thing. The two of you stare at each other for a moment, and he looks a little nervous. For art. Really, I do too. He brightens, smiling in the dim haze of the trunk light. Well, this chump up this hill here has won by this artist, Gustav Klimt. Snuck it from right out under me at an auction. I've been trying to buy it off him for years, but the jerk won't sell no matter how much I offer him. And trust me, you meet this guy, you know it's out of spite. So we're stealing it? You got it, kid. Woo! How much did he pay? Is this Grand Theft? I hope this is Grand Theft. I don't know how okay I am with this, actually. Well, you did try to buy it first. Frankly, I'm surprised you haven't done this sooner. Stan laughs quietly, fishing around in the duffel bag for you don't know what. Wait till you see it. It's a masterpiece. I've been waiting 6 months for him to go out of town. Here, take these. He pulls a pair of gloves from the bag, handing them to you. When you slide them on, they fit almost perfectly. I guess your size right? You nod, wiggling your fingers. Stan chuckles, pulling on a pair of his own, a set of black leather driving gloves with a silver snap closures that glint in the light from the trunk. You ready, kid? You bet. Stan tucks a few things into the inner pockets of his jacket that you can't see in the low light, and with the trunk shut just as quietly as it was opened, you follow him up to the woods towards the distant light. As you near it, a porch takes shape with the light's glow. Behind it, the dark shape of a house sits in the even darker woods. Stan leads you past the front porch and around the corner of the house to a set of stairs that appears to lead into a basement. Ah, this is my favorite part. He withdraws a small black shape from his pocket, something that looks like it might be a pen. The pen-shaped thing turns out to be a small flashlight, and he holds it in his teeth as he opens the black case to reveal a set of lockpicking tools. You're a lucky person, kid. You get to see the artist in action. He gets to work, inserting one tool in and wriggling it down the bottom of the keyhole, then pulling out another and poking at the innards of the lock with it. You glance around in the darkness as he works, half expecting to get caught before you get anywhere, and then the lock clicks and Stan stands, opening the door for you with a flourish. That was so cool. He beams with pride, and you smile politely as you step through the door in front of him. The basement is unlit. It smells like dust and mildew, the air sour with wet dirt and mold. Stan moves past you into the dark, his little pen flashlight still lit. It's lit, and leads you through a cobwebby laundry room and towards a door across from the bottom of a set of rickety wooden stairs. Wait till you see this, kid. He picks the lock of the door just as quickly as he picked the last, and the door creaks open into a dark room with odd flooring barely lit by Stan's flashlight. Stan goes first, and you follow him He hits a light switch, revealing a beautifully designed gallery with plush scarlet carpets and gleaming wood paneling full of paintings of sad clowns. Stan looks more excited. I fucking knew it. I remember they made the joke in when he was in Gideon's house where he pointed at the piece of artwork and he's like, this is beautiful. Stan looks more excited than you've seen him yet, his arms crossed over his chest and a warm smile on his face. Can you believe that hillbilly chump has a collection like this? You shake your head slowly, still looking around the room with wide eyes. Someday all of these are going to be mine. Come on, I'll show you the one we're here to get. You follow him to the back of the room and he stops in front of a large painting of a clown with bright red lips and blue circles on his cheeks. His eyes outlined in black with comically large eyelashes painted onto his eyelids. His neck rough droops sadly, and his costume is dingy and worn. What do you think? This is beautiful. You really like this kind of thing? No kidding? Stan's voice is edged with hope. They're all beautifully done. It's nice to meet somebody who really appreciates things like I do. It's excellent. It's just plain excellent. I love the irony. Clowns are supposed to be happy, but he's not. I wish I knew the story behind it. You look over at Stan and he looks delighted. Hot Belgian waffles, you really do like it. Well, let's get this thing off the wall and out of here. As he works to get the clunang down off the wall, you wonder the room looking at the other paintings. As you look over the portrait of a man with dirt on his white and black striped shirt, you're suddenly grabbed by your shoulders. Boo! Ah! You scream. Ah! You scream, eyes shut in fear as you throw a weak karate chop at the source of the noise, making unimpressive contact with something solid and muscular. After a few moments' panic, you squeeze whatever the thing is in your hands and you open, finding... How is this supposed to hurt me? Stan's arm and shoulder. Boy, he's really packing some heat in there. Wow. You laughs, apparently very pleased with himself for scaring the absolute life out of you. You need those boxing tips even more than I thought. You couldn't defend yourself from a fly with moves like that. You laugh shakily, and it's time you realize you're still feeling up Stan's arm. Who wouldn't? Sorry about that. You pull your hands away a bit too fast, and he chuckles, blushing all the way up to his ears. No problem, kid. He clears his throat, and the silence between you begins to grow awkward before it's interrupted. Upstairs, in what is supposed to be an empty house, you hear footsteps crossing towards the door of the basement. Stan apparently hears them too. A sudden series of expression crosses his face, from shock to confusion to terror to finally settling on indignation. He quickly takes you by the arm, whispering harshly in your ear as he drags you towards the entrance of the clown room. As soon as he comes in here, shut the door and I'll shove these boxes in front. You nod, and just as a line of light from the top of the stairs blooms into a wide swath, you and Stan duck behind a wall near the door to freedom, one corner of the stolen painting poking you uncomfortably in the ribs. Who's down there? Slippered feet come down the wooded steps ahead of you, and then the owner notices the light on. He holds something long and gun-shaped down in front of himself. Please, kill me. Pines, if that's you, I swear to God, I'm really gonna shoot you this time. Gun-shaped, gun-shaped, gun. Stan nudges you, jabbing a thumb towards the door leading outside, and jerks his head towards it. You take a step out from behind the wall, take Stan's hand in your own and pull him into a jog and then run. The two of you scrambling up the concrete steps onto the cool night air as a voice shouts where's behind you. Stan kicks the door shut on his way out, and there's a startled yelp behind you as it makes contact with the owner of the house. There's more swearing, but you lose it behind you as you run, flashlight in one hand and Stan's hand in the other. When you reach the tree line, you part and maneuver your way through brushes and brambles, Stan crashing through them behind you. As you run, a deafening gunshot goes off behind you, and you realize that you're being chased. Holy smokes, run for it, boo-boo. Why are you saying my name? Stan, you've done this before. You don't... Initials. The noises get louder, close enough that you can hear the pursuers swearing continually and loudly. You slow a bit, flashing your light behind you and raising the beam to find the distant but visibly enraged face of a man with a rifle in his hands. Acting on pure instinct, you fling the flashlight in the direction of the angry man and take off running again. After a moment, the man cries out, and the sounds of pursuit fade with one final cry. Damn you, Pines! Stan cackles. Sounds like you hit him. You reach the Stanmobile first, sliding into the passenger seat as Stan slips his new clone egg into the back seat before joining you in front, both of you panting and huffing. Stan hurriedly starts the engine and pulls off. At the next driveway, he does the fastest three-point turn you've seen in your life and then peels off down the gravel road and screeches out into the highway. Stan's quiet for a second before letting loose into wild, triumphant laughter. I thought he was going to catch me that time for sure. Did a man just shoot at us? Stan nods, still chuckling and apparently pretty pleased he didn't get hit. He lets out a long, loud sigh, his white-knuckled hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Yeah, that was... Holy moly, you okay, boo-boo? I think I went ahead. I'll let you know what I find out. He pulls back onto the highway, back in the direction you came from, and you lapse into comfortable silence. After a while, he starts humming along with the radio, and knowing this song this time, you hung along with him. Gravity Falls' welcome sign passes by again, but the route Stan's taking doesn't seem to lead back to the shack. Instead, you come to a stop outside rows and rows of used cars. A car dealership. Stan slides out of the car, withdrawing something from a pocket within the breast of his jacket. Once you get out and around to the front bumper, you can see it's a cigar. You mind if I smoke? No, go ahead. Sure. Thanks, I don't like smoking around the kids, you know. I'm already a bad enough influence. He chuckles and withdraws a pack of matches from his pocket, and his face is bathed in the light of the flame. From your place a ways down the road, Stan surveys the lot, eyes sweeping back and forth until they land on what looks to be a fuse box under the dark overhang of the roof on the far side of the dealership. What are we getting? New drive belts, some spark plugs, a couple other things I can't remember the name of and aren't worth explaining. It won't take all night though, right? He shakes his head, taking a long drag from the cigar. I don't think you take drags off a cigar. Smoke rolling off his lips and into the night. You lean back against the front bumper of the car next to him and stuff your hands in your pockets. There isn't much light pollution around here, so the stars are bright and numerous above. Provided your car gets fixed up, this might turn out to be such a bad trip. You take a deep breath in through your nose. The smell of a sweet, heady cigar smoke and crisp night air fills your lungs. So how are we doing this? We gotta get rid of the lights. I doubt Bud's clever enough to have night vision cameras. He laughs a little as he speaks, smoke blowing off into the night with each individual laugh. But we cut the power to the whole place and the cameras are going to be gone anyways. So we cut the power, find a car, same make and model as yours, and I dig out parts your car needs. An hour, maybe a half tops. I can get the lights. Stan turns his head and looks at you, waving around a fresh cloud of smoke as he accidentally exhales in your direction. You don't inhale cigar smoke. I really hope Stan isn't like just on that cigar. You sure? Yeah, I got it. The two of you stand there in silence for a few more minutes before he bends down and grinds his cigar cold on the asphalt. Cigars are like expensive too. This isn't a cigarette. Like this isn't a, this is like a this is a thing. Right? I'm not like a smoker or anything, so I don't know. But I'm pretty sure you don't just stomp a cigarette into the ground. Grinds his cigar cold on the asphalt, straightening with a groan and a huff of quiet laughter. Yeesh, trying to remember why I quit doing this kind of thing. You sure you're alright with this, kid? Robbing the place? You don't think I can do it? No, that's not it. You've been keeping up with me just fine all night, but you just don't seem like you have a lot of experience here. I'm nervous, but I could do it. He smiles a warm and genuine expression that ignites something fuzzy and soft inside you. You don't notice you're staring until he turns away and moves away towards the trunk. He reaches into the car and pulls a lever under the driver's side of the front seat, and the trunk pops open. You follow him to it, and after rummaging around at the contents for a minute, he brings out a pair of pliers. Alright, you go over there and take care of the lights. Okay, I'm going to save here. We're gonna boop. Alright. You go over and take care of the lights. I got a few things to get together. You crouch down behind the fence when you reach the lot, scrambling along in the shadows until you reach the dealership's main building. With a peek over the edge, you see that the wall of the building is cast in shadow from a poorly placed streetlight. Another peek and you spot a car at the same make and model as yours as the back of the lot. Your sign that says discount section, big deals. It takes an embarrassing amount of effort to get over to the fence, but you manage it and press yourself flat against the wall, inching towards the fuse box. Fuck. It's locked, but you pry it open with the pliers and look over what's inside. A bunch of switches, some wires. Rip some wires out. Not the most elegant job, and you realize after you've done it that you're glad you're still wearing the gloves that Stan gave you from earlier, in case what you did was dangerous. The lights, however, remain unchanged. Flip the biggest switch. With your face pinched in concentration, you push the biggest switch in the opposite direction, and the entire property goes dark. You slip the tool into your back pocket, and you take a look around just to make sure the power's out. With a satisfied nod, you feel your way to the parking lot, knocking your shins on 3 separate cars before you figure you should probably just stop and wait for Stan. Where you at, kid? His voice isn't far away, but he isn't close either. You feel your way around an SUV, then a sedan, then gravel in the parking lot crunches under your feet, and you reflexively stare down at the ground ahead of you as your eyes slowly adjust to the darkness. Out ahead of you, a flashlight turns on and scans the lot until it finds you. Yes, please. Thank you. Found ya. He sounds amused, probably at the way you're staring with your arms spread wide over a sleek, modern sports car. Getting familiar with the merchandise, yeah? You give the car an awkward pat and make your way towards the beginning of the flashlight's beam. You see anything the same make as yours before shutting off the lights? Yeah, there's one in the back in the discount section. It's kind of insulting now that you think about it, actually. He hands you the flashlight when you reach him, and you start slowly back towards the discount cars. Discount, your car is, it's a classic. It's usually extremely reliable, to be perfectly honest. It's not even your fault that it's in the state it's in. It was Ford, it is whatever it is. Your deep and salty thoughts when hands suddenly grip your ribs on either side. Gotcha! Ah! You scream and throw back an elbow at whatever has got a hold of you, and you hear Stan yelp and fall on a clatter of kicked gravel and metal clanking together. He scared you again. Oh well, I got you that. Holy smokes, kid. You turn the flashlight to where you heard him fall, and you find him with a hand cupped over his face, blood dribbling out from beneath his gloved fingers. Yeah, I deserved that one. Oh shit, I'm really sorry. No, I'll be right, just help me up. You tuck the still lit flashlight into your back pocket for a moment, reaching down and finding his hands in the dark to pull him up. Once he's on his feet, you retrieve the flashlight from your pocket as you bring the beam to Stan's face. This is a lot more sensual than the Ford route. Like, I feel like I'm ready to fuck just at any moment, but Ford was more romantic. He's apparently brought a backpack with him, and he's sitting on the ground behind him, where he presumably dropped it when you elbowed him. You know, that was a really solid hit. You got a lot of power in there. I don't know if you were just saying it to be nice earlier, but I could really show you some moves, teach you how to hit and direct that strength. Yeah, sounds fun. He removes the hanky from his nose for a moment, gently prodding at the bridge of his nose with a finger and frowns. Well, it's not broken, that's for sure. That's good. He laughs quietly, taking a clean corner of the handkerchief and dabbing his nose with it, grimacing. Is that a good joke? That's not a good joke, is it? That's a bad one. Make sure to unsubscribe for that joke. Dabbing his nose with it, grimacing and sniffling hard when it comes back still clean. Good to go. Are you sure you're alright? Yeah, of course. I've got worse beatings than that, believe me. His face is flushed from the sudden injury, but he does look otherwise okay. So you sigh and plant your hand on your hips. Then let's finish this. He reaches out towards you, then catch a glimpse of blood and reconsiders wiping his gloves as clean as he can with the hanky. When you reach the car you spotted earlier, he pops the hood and drops his pack onto the ground next to the bumper, unzipping it to reveal a jumble of various wrenches and tools. Alright, hold the flashlight steady. Fuck. Steady on the edge and keep an eye out. I want to watch him work. Keeping a lookout is definitely important, you think, as he rolls up his sleeve and exposes sturdy, well-muscled forearms. Yes! Wow. His gloved hands take deliberate, practiced movements without hesitation, zeroing in on spark plugs immediately. He bends over the front of the car, his jacket riding up his back as he stretches to grab a deeply set part, and you catch one glimpse of skin before you hastily turn your attention back to the lot in front of you. You're suddenly very glad it's dark as you feel blush spread over your face and all the way out to your ears. It doesn't take long for him to get what he needs for your car, shutting the hood and setting his pack on it as he stuffs parts into it. That was quick. Now the parts you needed are easy to find. Just takes the right. Hey, what's going on over there? That you, bud? The beam of a flashlight finds you both, and Stan turns around quickly, leaving the bag behind himself on the hood. Yeah? Pines? What the heck happened to your face, and what are you doing here Hey, are you stealing parts again? No? Stan inches closer to you until your shoulders touch, and behind you, he pushes the bag into your hands before lowering his voice to speak to you. Run for it. Keep the bag out of sight and toss it into some bushes nearby. I'll get it later. You nod, picking up the bag and holding it behind yourself. The flashlight by the road moves closer, and you slowly scoot away from the car and backwards. Hey, where are you going? You move backwards a little faster, still keeping the bag out of sight. When the light leaves you to check on Stan, you make a break for it towards the back fence, throwing the bag over it ahead of you. A new voice nearby squeaks, and you help it. Hey, where you going, burglar? You're under arrest for burglary. There's a shot from Stan behind you, and then a heavy thud, and one of the car alarms starts squealing. You're so surprised by the alarm that the second cop gets his hand around your wrists and slaps a pair of handcuffs on you. You better quit your squirming there, buddy. We caught you fair and square. Aw, come on, Blubs. I saved the town from an interdimensional demon. Give me a break. Sorry, Stan. We got a job to do. Stan grumbles quietly, and the man behind you leads you towards the road to road behind Stan and Blubs, who's now got him in cuffs. You need to get out of this, but how? Go for the cop's gun! Gun. You close the space between you and the cop behind you, reaching your hands back in search of his holster, but not finding it. Once something moves between your fingers and you grab it, bringing it back, well, you're not sure what it is, but it feels like it might be the keys, so you slip it into your back pocket. Damn it. Oh, shoot, Derland. We don't have the cruiser. Me and my ideas for romantic strolls in the moonlight. Why don't we just Commander Stan's car? Do you mean commandeer? Thank you, Blubs. I don't know. Edwin Derland, you are an absolute delight, and I cherish having you as my life partner. Very subtle, writer of this. Derland giggles behind you, and Blubs giggles with him. The two of them push you and Stan into the back seat of his car, crowding you in with the clonang. Stan grips it protectively, muttering under his breath about the fuzz. He's quiet for the most of the ride, only speaking up once. You okay, boo-boo? I mean, I'm as okay as I can. Yeah, I'm alright. He falls silent after you respond and stays that way all the way back to the station. Inside the station, Derlin leads you to a pair of chairs by a desk, and Blubs disappears down a hallway. Blubs is back after a few minutes, a deep frown set into his face, and after directing his frown at Derland, he takes you and Stan down another hallway to a set of cells. At the first, he withdraws a set of keys and opens the door. You and Stan are uncuffed, and with a solid and somewhat alarming clang, the cell door shuts and locks. You two better get comfortable. We'll get your prints in the morning. Stan grumbles, settling down onto one of the provided bunk beds, and you sit down on the one next to it, facing him. He peels off his gloves, tucking them inside out into his pocket, and fiddles with the loose thread on the thin wool blanket on the bunk bed. Through the door at the end of the hallway, you hear Derland say something about fancy black finger paints to Blubs. Here in the bright fluorescent lights, you can see that he still has a bit of blood smeared under his nose and on his chin. You feel a flush of embarrassment when you remember that you're the one who did that to him. I can't wait to see how everyone back home reacts when they find out I've been revisited. How are we going to get out of here? Stan shrugs, crossing his arms over his chest and flopping back onto the mattress. Don't think we can, kid. I'll see if I can convince him that you got hypnotized or something into coming along with me, keep you out of trouble. Listen, if you're going down for this, then so am I. He laughs quietly, propping himself up on his elbows. You don't want to get in trouble with the law, kid. Trust me, this ain't my first time spending the night in jail, not by a long shot. Sounds rough. Yeah, well, so it goes. This won't be so bad compared to 5 years in a Colombian prison. There's a story behind that, but he doesn't look like he wants to tell it at the moment. Anyway, the only way we're getting out of here is with the keys. Then we could just slip out a window or something. You think for a moment, stuffing your hands in your pocket, and suddenly remember the thing you grabbed off the second cop, Derland. Oh, wait. You jump to your feet and dig into your pocket, withdrawing the small metal thing you stole, to find that it's a ring of official-looking keys. You hold the keys out in front of yourself and jingle them triumphantly. Look what I got off Derland. Stan stares at you, your hand in disbelief, then at you, then at the keys, and back at you again before laughing incredulously. Are you sure you don't have experience with this kind of thing? Stan takes the keys from you, looking them over in his palm. He smiles up at you, then looks down at the keys and covers his mouth with his hand, dragging it down over his chin. I can't believe I've been shown up by a tourist. Well, get used to it, buddy, 'cause I've got skills. He looks proud, smiling up at you like you just handed him $1 million. What are we waiting for? Let's get the heck out of here. He stands at you, reach through the bars, and try keys until one works. The door swings open with a quiet creak, and you creep out down the hallway out to the door. You crack it open, looking out into the lobby, and see Blubs is asleep on the front desk, Derland not in sight. Slowly you pull the door open and move into the lobby. Stan taps your shoulder and whispers low. We gotta get my keys. You see him anywhere? You glance around and spot them next to where Blubs is asleep, drool pulling on the table. Shoot. Crossing your fingers for luck, you sneak over to the desk and reach down to grab them. Suddenly, Blubs stirs and mumbles. Dang, Bigfoot stealing my shoes, stretching out my shoes. Stan, that was a good joke. I didn't register it. Stan snorts behind you, and you manage to suppress a laugh as you pluck the keys away. Wait, hold on. Stan disappears into another room, and you're stunned, wondering what the hell he could be doing right now that's more important than escaping. Before you have the chance to call him something you might regret later, he reappears in the doorway, the troublesome clown painting under his arm. Seriously? Duh. Alright, let's roll. Slipping out with only a click of the station door closing behind you, you and Stan climb into his car and escape into the night. After stopping by Bud's dealership to pick up this hidden backpack, you and your partner in crime head back to the shack in comfortable silence. You'd feel tired if it weren't for the adrenaline. Carry the backpack inside while Stan brings in the Clunang and the briefcase, setting both on the kitchen table. Excuse me. I'd call that a successful night. Even though we got arrested, so would I, and fun too. You grin over at him and realize in the bright kitchen light he's still got blood on his face. How do you keep forgetting? You're the one who elbowed him after all. Well, come here. You pull one of the chairs out from under the table, gesturing for him to sit down. Oh my goodness! The art is beautiful in this game. Bro, what if I tended to your wounds? He looks like a little wary, but obeys the chair's ancient metal frame creaking under his weight. Grab a couple paper towels, turning on the faucet in the sink and wetting them. Clean him up for him. Mentally steadying yourself, you hold the side of his face and neck in your hand. With gentle pressure, you guide his head to tilt back until he's lit up fully by the overhead light. You feel him blush under your hand, his skin heating up. He seems too surprised to protest or even speak as you wipe the now dried blood from his face. He's quiet while you work, watching you with warm brown eyes rimmed by dark lashes. I could have taken care of this myself, you know. He says this, but he hasn't pulled away or made any move to leave. I did the damage. The least I could do is clean up after myself. Anyway, you've done plenty, as it is. In paper towels, you've become too soiled to work with, so you toss them into the trash and go back to get a few more. Your hand returns to his cheek, and he could be imagining things, but it almost feels like he leans into it. I really did have a good time with you tonight. I had no idea crime could be so fun. He smirks, avoiding your gaze. I had a good time too. You pause for a moment, realizing something. Those cops aren't gonna come after us, are they? Stan shrugs. Probably not. They're nice enough guys, but not exactly competent. You laugh quietly and he smirks up at you. You stand back to make sure you're finished and toss the last paper towels into the trash. You sure it's not broken? Nah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Your hand lingers on his cheek. Good night. I don't want to... Hugging him would be weird. Well, good night. Sleep tight, boo-boo. You brush your teeth and change into your pajamas, and it's not until you get to bed that you realize you're still smiling. The rush from it hasn't completely faded, but after a while your eyes grow heavy and you drift off to sleep. Nobody back home is ever going to believe this. We've done it. We've made progress. That's going to be the end of the video. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, do whatever you want. I don't care, really. I've got more videos in the works. Mabel Cakes is happening. I don't know when. Mabel Cakes is going to happen. And we're going to finish up the stand line. We're going to make sure to... We're going to do a regular playthrough, blind, and then we'll go back and make sure we 100% it. And, I mean, I think that's it. Make sure you check out some of the live streams I post. I stream on Twitch occasionally. It's nothing fancy, and I don't have a schedule, but I think they're pretty fun to hang out with. Well, I'll see you guys.